New videos every day.
So sometimes your doctor may have said or used words such as insulin, glucose, insulin resistance, and this is a picture of a cell or a cell and cell wall. And these are little cartoon drawings to show how insulin and sugar work together and what exactly insulin does in order to move sugar around. So the little orange blobs are glucose or sugar, and the blue diamonds or squares are going to be the insulin, the hormone insulin. Whenever we eat, the body kind of reads how much sugar got put into the body. So if you have a soft drink, your body's going to say, there's an emergency. We have tons of sugar invading the body. We need to get insulin out there. Hurry up. We need to move that sugar around. There's just so much of it. So as the body gets flooded with glucose or sugar, it also gets flooded with insulin. And the body works very hard and it makes all this insulin to help move the sugar around. Now, one of the jobs of insulin is to get the sugar or glucose into the cell. The insulin doesn't necessarily go into the cell, but it helps get the glucose into the cell. So these little green shapes are like little doors or little ports. A technical word would be receptor. And these would be the insulin receptors on the cell wall, or the insulin doors. And the insulin is the key to get the glucose through the door into the cell. So the insulin will tell the little door to open, and then the door opens and the sugar goes into the cell, and the cell is able to use that sugar for energy and all the functions that the cell is supposed to be doing. So we need sugar. We need the glucose in our blood because that's where we get energy from. What happens is, if we flood the body, we have so much sugar floating around and insulin, the cell starts to say, hang on a minute, I'm full. I don't need any more sugar. And it starts actually turning itself off. Some of these little doors start closing and they don't work anymore. And it doesn't matter how much insulin tries to get through that little port, it can't, because the cell is saying, I'm done. I've had enough. So you have extra insulin out here that's not been used, and you have extra sugar floating around that can't be used because the cells are getting full and they're saying, I don't need any more. So the body then says, okay, we can't have sugar floating around in the body. So the insulin will then make the glucose or the sugar turn into fat, and it's a saturated fat, and it likes to put that fat where it can get to it. So it's going to put it around the tummy, around the stomach area, and it's going to put it around the organs or the visceral fat. And so that's why whenever you have a lot of sugary foods or simple starch foods, it's very easy to gain weight around the stomach area because that's where it likes to put it. That's a very efficient place for it to put the extra sugar that it's now turned into fat. So when the little doors close on the insulin, that's called insulin resistance. It means that the cells can no longer take up sugar because it's no longer responding to the insulin. Yet, what will happen is the cell will say, it'll use up its sugar level, and it'll say, hey, wait a minute, I'm hungry, I need some food. But it can't bring any more in because it's closing its doors off. So the insulin is in the blood saying, hey, I've got sugar to give to you, and the sugar is there, but the cell is confused saying, I can't take any more, but I need more. So it gets to be a confusion. It's kind of like, for those of you that may have children or dogs, small animals that make a lot of noise, at some point you start tuning them out and you don't hear it anymore. Even though the noise is there, you just don't hear it anymore. So the cell kind of behaves in the same way. Even though it's there, the cell can't use it anymore. And that's where the idea of insulin resistance comes in. And so the cell is then telling the body, I'm hungry, I need to eat. So the body says, okay, we've moved all our sugar around and we've got lots of insulin floating around in the blood. The cells are hungry. It's kind of like our troops are hungry. We need to eat. So you're signaled to ingest more food. Go eat something else. And we unfortunately will gravitate towards a bag of chips or a donut or a piece of bread or something that's quick, easy, and it gets food in you, you're satisfied, you're done, you don't have to worry about that anymore, and supposedly your cells are supposed to be happy. But unfortunately, they've gotten too much and it's flooded them, and they actually are not getting the nutrients that they need because of the types of foods that we're eating.